Okay. So I am seeing a lot of you responding to that question. So at this point, I want to hear your responses. Okay, listen, listen, listen. Let's hear the question again. Let's hear the question again. Listen. The question is it possible to enjoy a sexual encounter with someone of the same sex and not be homosexual? You got the question? Now before you share your answers, I just want to tell you why this is important. If you give me the chance. So let's keep the chat down. All right, I'll wait till you finish talking. Good. So I was saying that it's very important for us to understand the answer to that question. Let me tell you why. We are Christians, aren't we? And we should be living a life that is pleasing to God. Now, one of the topics that the Bible is explicitly clear on is homosexuality. The Bible clearly says that homosexuality is wrong. I don't think anyone can challenge that. And if the Bible says that homosexuality is wrong, then we ought not to engage in such behaviors. However, we recognize that homosexuality is not something by choice. There are persons, and the estimate is about 3 to 4% of persons who may be born gay, to put it that way. And I put born gay in inverted commas because the studies show that yes, genetics have something to do with it, but it's not genetics alone. It's genetics and experience. But some people find themselves attracted to people of the same sex and they have no control over it. But that's just about 3 to 4% of people. Okay, the chatting is starting again. I want you to share everything you're saying when you get that opportunity, all right? So remember, I'm explaining why that question is important, okay? Now, if we do a survey, we will likely find, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but throughout the world, that the rates of homosexuality and bisexuality seem to have skyrocketed. Do you agree? There are lots of people now, even among you, who identify as bisexual. Yes or no? Now you have the answer, the opportunity to answer me, and you're not speaking. All right? But I would say yes, based on my experience of interacting with young people. Okay? And sometimes the reason a person identifies as bisexual has nothing to do with genetics or it being outside of their control, but because of experiences they have that mislead them into thinking that they might be bisexual or gay. And those are the people that we want to help. Help them to recognize that in fact they are not gay. And not because they have certain experiences mean that they are. Okay? So I hope I've set the backdrop as to why the answer to that question is important. And now, all of you who are chatting and can't seem to stop chatting, I hope that the mic will be taken to you so that we can hear what you have to say. So let's hear what you have to say on this question. Is it possible to experience pleasure with someone of the same sex and not be gay? Okay, let's hear the person who said yes, and let's hear why you say that. All right, now, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Before the person speaks, hold on. We have some rules of engagement. When persons are speaking, we will be respectful. Regardless of what they say, we will maintain order and we will be respectful. Okay? Those are the rules of engagement. Now somebody said yes. Did she back out? And she doesn't want to say and share? Come on, let me encourage you, because it's interesting to hear how people think and feel. Okay, there's a hand in the back there.
Stop looking at me, please. Thank you. Stop looking.
All right, there's a gentleman in the back row.
Interesting. Yeah, it's not gay because, well, people in jail just do it all the time. Basically, yeah. Not gay, no. People in jail
Okay,
just do it all the time.
let's give him a chance. Continue. I want to hear why you say yes. Please give him a chance. Give him a chance.
Because intention is what matter. You can do it, but your intent to how to be, well, but I'm doing this because I like man. Is you're doing it because it had nothing else.
Okay. 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 All right. Young man, can you stand up, please? Oh. Hold on, people. I want to commend you for your response because you are right on target. So thank you very much. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example, a real life example of a scenario where what he says can happen. Think of a prison, a male prison or a female prison. Yes? Okay. In a prison, you have people of only one sex, not so? It's either a male prison or a female prison, assuming there are no transgenders in there. And people are imprisoned for long periods of time, not so? And sexual urges do not disappear because you are in prison. So what do some prisoners do? They engage in same-sex sexual relationships, but they are not gay. And when they come out of prison, those people are the strongest gay haters. They have the strongest homophobia because what they indulged in was not natural. That's one example. Another example, prostitution. There are men who prostitute themselves to other men, but they are not gay. Are you getting where I'm coming from? That engaging in a behavior does not make you gay. Quiet, 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 because the part that relates to you is coming. Right? So let me talk to a young lady. I'll use the ladies for example. If a young lady is going through a rough time and her girlfriend hugs her and kisses her and she feels good, does that mean she's gay or bisexual? Okay, so you've shared your opinion with people around you. Share it with the big group now. I want to hear at least 3 responses. At least 3 responses. And I'm using that example deliberately. I'm using that example deliberately because when I interact with young people in a counseling setting and I ask them, what is your sexual orientation? Everybody these days is telling me bisexual. And when I ask, why do you think you're bisexual? Have you had interactions with another female, if I'm talking to a girl? And she would say, yes, I kissed a girl. I've kissed a girl already. That does not make you bisexual. Okay? So let's hear some responses. I think there's one on this side.
Dr. Reed, before we respond, I want to appeal to the students. One of the main reasons why we've had to have this second session was because when you're talking, while you're laughing, while you're engaging, you miss very vital information that Dr. Reed is sharing, and thus starts the misunderstanding and confusion. So I'm appealing to you all. Listen, reason. You all are bright young people, and you can think. Don't just listen to the words that you're hearing. Think about what is being said. And I'm glad that Dr. Reed is using actual examples so you can understand, because some of you may be experiencing things that you're not sure why you feel the way you feel. So please do not take this session lightly. Listen, do less talking, and please listen. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. So can we have, I think there was someone on this end who was about to respond. Here? Okay.
It's not gay because I hug my best friend every day. So, and it's only gay. People think it's gay when the boys do it. Like if you hug your male friend or like hugging them is, people will think it's gay because I hug my best friend every day and she's female. But if a boy hug his male best friend, people will think it's gay in that sense.
Okay, and she's raising a very important point, and that has to do, that has to do again with gender identity and gender roles in society. Now tell me if I got you correctly, but what she's saying is that society accepts if 2 girls hug, but society frowns on 2 guys hugging. And immediately they would want to label those guys and label them as gay. And unfortunately, some guys accept the label. But what is wrong with 2 guys exchanging a friendly hug? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay, let me finish this though. Yeah, I want to. Okay, just. I think I've lost the mic. Okay. All right. The questions are coming, and I am glad. But let me make a response on what was shared, okay? To show you how the society has changed. We have gone from one extreme where we would label and stigmatize certain behaviors, such as 2 guys hugging, to the other extreme where we have thousands of labels that somebody could go on the internet and identify with. Am I bisexual? Am I pansexual? Am I asexual? Am I... thousands literally of labels. And because your society is very much into the social media and there's information at your fingertips, you may identify with one of these created labels that have nothing to do with the way God made us. All right? So we take that comment very seriously. It is not about what society sells. It is not what the gingerbread man sells. It's about who God says you are. All right? So there were several hands. Let's take some more comments. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, miss. So, with the guilt thing, when you say if your friend.
We want everybody to hear you.
Alright, miss. With your friend, right? If your friend just come and kiss you on your cheek and hug you, I not gonna feel no type of way, but if it's like a kind of intimate kiss, obviously you're gonna feel a type of way for that person. And yeah. And with the boys, miss, I don't find hugging your friend gay because it's just like hugging your father and your uncle, and you know, it is not gay, it's friendly. As long as it's friendly only, that's the only thing that matters.
Right. Okay, you see? So let me repeat what she says. As long as it's friendly only, that's the only thing that matters. Nothing is wrong with a friendly hug. Now, she also said before that if a girl kisses another girl in an intimate way, then you must, what did you say, develop feelings? Is that what you said? Hello, miss? You must develop feelings? Respond. Feel pleasure. Okay, good. Right? So she is endorsing what I am saying. If someone does a certain act to you, it can feel good. But we're back to the original question. Does that mean that you are gay? No, it does not. What it means, stop, listen, please. What it means is that you must stop engaging in that behavior. That's what it means. Because according to the Bible, that homosexual act, notice my words, that homosexual behavior does not mean that you are gay, but it is wrong. And if you listen to the voices that society is sending the way of young people, you will begin to believe that you are gay. And you will continue to do it. And you would end up in a place where you should not be. Are you getting what I'm saying now? Yes? All right, let's hear some more questions and comments. There were several hands. Yeah, go ahead. Oh, and we had this gentleman, this young man a long time. Okay, the young lady in the back, and then we'll come back to it's a young lady? Yes. Mm-hmm.
Miss, I have a question, right? I want to know if two men could make a child together.
Okay. Okay. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. All right. Can I answer? Please allow me to answer. Please allow me to answer. Okay? So, the answer to that question is an easy one. Biologically, it is impossible for two men to conceive because God did not create us that way. God created male and female, biologically different, to be able to create. And remember, God put Adam and Eve on the earth to multiply and replenish the earth. So man and woman, male and female, are needed to have a child. However, her question has a lot of merit, because society would have us believe that socially 2 men or 2 women can raise a family. And while studies may show that the children raised in such settings are no way significantly different to children raised with a mother and a father, if you really dig into those studies, you will see a lot of flaws, because God in his wisdom gave women certain traits and gave men certain traits, both of which are desirable for children to experience as they are raised. So biologically, it's impossible, but socially, it's undesirable. Okay? All right, let's continue.
Okay, so to touch on the point with being gay, all have to do with your intentions. If, say, what's your name, Bill Gates come and say, well, come and do something for 50 million, you understand? You're going to do it, like, we really going to do it, but I don't make it gay. And the thing with society, girls could, because they make it so normal for girls to be on girls will have a higher chance of thinking they could be bi or gay, when really they could just be bi-curious. They just want to know what it feels like and whatnot, but that don't mean they're gay or like girls, you know?
Okay, thank you. Before you sit, let me ask your opinion, right? Hold on. Let me engage the young lady for a little, please. Yes? Right. So let me just ask your opinion, right? Because I really appreciate what you shared. In your opinion, do you think that more and more young ladies, your age group, are experimenting with bisexuality or experimenting with intimacy with females and labeling themselves bisexual?
Yeah.
Okay, so you see, and that's an honest response. Thank you. And that is what we're talking about this morning. The experimentation should not take place because we are children of God and we don't want to do what he says not to do. But should you do it, do not let the way you feel mislead you into accepting that label of bisexuality. You are not. You are heterosexual doing something wrong. Okay? All right, another question.
So like about the question I was asking about if 2 people of the same gender could have a sexual experience together. And personally, I find yes, because say 2 guys and like one have a wife, and say the 2 guys are best friends and one of them have a wife, but they just like masturbate together, but they just only do it. But like they just only do it because it's pleasurable. But like not because they are 2 men, like ignoring the fact that one is a male, but like just because it's pleasurable. So I find that you could do it once you're getting pleasure from it and you like the pleasure, but not because it's from a man.
All right, now you see, let me tell you, y'all are creating a problem for me, right? Because when the person is speaking and all of y'all start to speak same time, I'm not hearing. So I only heard some of what she said. So please, 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 can you keep your responses down? Put your hand up if you have something to say, and I'll have to ask the young lady to repeat some of what she said. I know she was talking about 2 men and one having a wife, and if the 2 men engage in mutual masturbation, they can feel pleasure, but I didn't hear the last part of what she said.
So like, yeah, if 2 men, 2 men like masturbating together, but they just only do it because like it's pleasurable and only for the pleasure, like not ignoring the fact that there's both men, but just because it is feel good. But they prefer women to be with like lifelong.
So you're asking, what does that make them?
Well, yeah, kind of.
Okay, so two men masturbating together because it gives pleasure does not make them gay. Same thing again, right? A gay person is someone whose sole attraction for emotional and sexual fulfillment is someone of the same sex. Two people experimenting and doing something that feels good doesn't make them gay. And if their intention is for their lifelong partner to be someone of the opposite sex, and that's where their attraction lies, then they are heterosexual. You see how many examples we're getting? So it's important that you know who you are and don't let those bodily feelings mislead you. All right, I need to know how much more time we have because I'm seeing a few hands. Can we take a few more questions and then wrap up? So there's one there and one here. Yes? And another one here. Okay, so we have 3 more. And okay, I don't know the order, so please just go ahead.
So basically, every time like speakers come to the school, right, they're talking about homosexuality and all these other stuff and basically basing it among the young people, right? First of all, this didn't come about just so, right? The young people didn't just bring it up just so. So it's not only the young people that's encouraging it, right?
Very true.
So what about the older folks in their 30s, their 40s, and all the way up encourage that practicing homosexuality and all that? Why is it labeled amongst the young people alone?
Okay, good question. Good question. Very good question. Now, the dynamics in society have changed a lot. What you find is that, let's say, 3-4 generations ago, homosexuality was much more stigmatized. So what you would get is everybody trying to appear heterosexual, including that 3% who might have been homosexual. And then you have issues like homosexuality on the down low. So that's the gay guy who would marry a woman because society says that he should, but in secret, he is indulging his homosexual behaviors. We have seen a transition from that across the generations to your generation, where the difference is the opportunity to identify with multiple sexual identities. People in their 30s and 40s are not likely or not as likely to initially identify with pansexuality, for example. But you, at puberty, have that opportunity. So you find that it tends to occur more commonly in the generation where the opportunity is there from a young age. But it is also happening in the older generation. Even if you look at the news, you're seeing now older people, especially celebrities. This one is coming out as pansexual. This one is coming out as homosexual. They're coming out, all right? So it is not restricted to the younger generation, but you have greater opportunity and it has become normalized for you. And that is what makes it dangerous. Okay? I hope you have answered the question. All right, so we had the mic here a while.
If you say you're homophobic, right? And you have a gay friend, does that still make you homophobic?
Okay. Okay, so let me see if I get the question correctly. Listen, I have to shout. I don't want to shout. I don't want to shout. Quiet. So, miss, let me see if I got your question correctly. You're asking if you could have a gay friend and still be homophobic? Yeah? Okay. What's homophobia? Homophobia is an intense dislike, even hatred, for people of a homosexual orientation. So if you have a gay friend, you are not likely to be homophobic. Homophobia, homosexuality is wrong. It's wrong. Homophobia is also wrong. We don't want to hate people who are gay. We want to love them and encourage them to do what is right. right? And for those of you who are laughing, I don't mean love in a physical way, of course, but Christian love. We want to help them. We want to teach them what God says, what is right, and what is wrong. We don't want to hate them, okay?
Okay, we have 4 minutes, and that question actually was one in my hand. I have 4 others. We'll take 2 from the floor, and I'll probably just read this quickly, and you respond.
Okay, sure.
First, I want to say that pleasure is a biological thing, so even if regardless of same sex or opposite sex, people will experience pleasure because it is a biological thing. The body is naturally made to react to stimuli. And even in cases of like rape and stuff, whether it be same sex or opposite sex, you will experience pleasure even if you don't like the person and you didn't consent it. So, secondly, I want to ask your opinion of like people who promote same-sex relationships in like movies, like actors, and people like certain countries that legalize same-sex marriage, and also people that well, yeah, the countries that legalize same-sex marriage, and also people that promote same-sex relationships in like movies and stuff, and also like in the lyrics, like music lyrics, Lil Nas X and sing.
Okay, all right. So, all right, we have limited time. Don't let me have to waste the time asking you to be quiet, okay? So let's hear the response now. So thank you very much for summarizing that whole thing about pleasure. You said it very nicely, and you're so correct. Pleasure is biological. Erogenous zones, if stimulated, you will always feel pleasure. The second question about my opinion of what is happening in society now, it is a gradual, maybe not even so gradual, movement away from the principles and standards of the Bible. Bottom line, full stop. All right? I don't want to sound extreme or fanatic to say that it is a ploy of the enemy to take us away from God, but it is. It is. And as young people, you have to be aware that what is normal in your environment is not godly. And you have to make that difficult decision. What do I choose? Do I choose to be like my peers? Do I listen to Hollywood? Do I listen to the lyrics of the music? If the government says same-sex marriage is legal, do I say, okay, then I accept? Or do I stand firm on the fact that I am a Christian? God made me a certain way, to live a certain way, and homosexuality is wrong, and I will stand for what is right. That is the decision that each and every one of you will have to make individually. What society says is correct, or what God says is correct. So you have to think carefully about that.
Miss, when you was talking about how this has been going on for generations, that's actually true. During the Victorian ages and beyond that, there has been instances where it has been happening, but it's been kept on secret a lot, but there were still cases where they will cut them. And back then, Christianity was very strong, and they will be punished severely for those acts. To this day, yes, to this day, those acts are still happening. Like, I was reading an article where they say a transgender male who was actually female, she went to a hospital. Well, she goes by he, she goes by he, but, and she takes steroids and stuff to stop it, but she ended up getting pregnant. And she's in a relationship. And the hospital put her down as a she instead of a he, and she's complaining about it. But she's biologically a female, not a male. There are more cases about that where some people are in Hollywood itself, they are saying, oh, how it's right, they're trying to stigmatize trans, saying it's right way, but really it's not. And some of them are Christian, but if you want to follow the Christian way, the Bible goes against this. God forgives us, but there are still punishments to face for these acts.
Very, very well said. Very well said. And Miss, I will just add one thing. Just one thing I will add. For those 3% of persons who may find themselves genuinely attracted only to people of the same sex, God loves you, He forgives you, and He can change you. You just say to Him, I acknowledge who I am, but I don't want to be this way, Lord. I want to be faithful and obedient to you. And you ask Him to change you, and He will do it. That's the only thing I add to what she says. And put all of that together, and you embrace that, and you would have had a morning well spent. Okay?
Hi, Miss. When it comes to sexuality, I wanted to ask your opinion because these days when people talk about it, the first thing that is getting compared to is mental illness. And I'll draw example to that because it's not only limited to female and male. I'm sure if you go around the world, like in France, you have a lady who says she married to the Eiffel Tower. People having sexual engagement with the animals or the physical things. So when it comes to having pleasure, what you think sexuality is in that course, because it changes and it varies from, it's not only genders, people have sexual relations with other things as well.
Okay. All right, so another interesting question. Let's get the answer. Another interesting question. I am a psychiatrist. I've been a psychiatrist for 3 decades, so I've been able to see changes. When I first qualified as a psychiatrist, homosexuality was a mental illness. Gender identity disorder, which is transgender, was a mental illness. And what she talked about with animals and objects and so, those are fetishes, all right? All of those were considered mental illnesses. There has been advocacy in the societies globally to the point where homosexuality is no longer a mental illness, it's a lifestyle. Gender identity is no longer a mental illness. All you have to do is go say, I feel like a man even though I'm in a woman's body, change me. And it's happening. And pretty soon some of those fetishes will no longer be mental illnesses. What does that tell us? Society's standards have changed and continue to change. You have to decide if your standards will also change. Okay? All right, so I think we have exhausted the questions. Yes?
Okay, so we are out of time. The only person who has the authority to tell us if we can go take any more is Mr. Hislop. So 4 more minutes or 4 more questions? 5 minutes. All right, so Ethan has a question. While he's coming, I'll give the ones I have here. It says, is having interest in the same gender but not wanting to pursue it the act or being gay?
All right, another excellent question. If you feel attracted to someone of the same sex, it may be a very frustrating experience, especially if you want to please God or simply not be that way. By definition, it means yes, you are gay. However, you do not have to act on it. There's a difference between your homosexual orientation, which says who you are attracted to, and your behaviors, which means that you act on how you feel. Your sexual identity has to do with your behavior. So it is possible for you to be attracted to somebody of the same sex and say, I will not adopt that sexual identity. I will not act on those behaviors. And in that case, you simply would have to live a life of abstinence, which is what any unmarried heterosexual person should be doing in any case. And even as you adopt that position of abstinence, you can ask God to change your orientation. And he does it. There are stories that tell you that he really does.
Thank you. How do I find out if my sexuality is accurate, not meaning gender? I don't know if this one is similar. It says, what are the different genders?
All right, so I'm not clear as to the first question. How can I find out if my sexuality is accurate, but not meaning gender? The thing about it is, we have biological sex, which has to do with our different sexual organs. If that's what the person is referring to, then you would have to have someone have a look and tell you if you are normal. Because there are instances where biologically our organs are not normal in the way they've developed. For example, we have persons who may have both sets of organs, male and female. And in that case, you may have to seek some kind of intervention, but that's not very common. With regard to other aspects, your orientation and so, that becomes apparent as you go through puberty, as you develop, you experience who you feel emotionally and sexually attracted to. And you have to trust who you feel that is accurate. Yeah, so hope I've answered that one. And as to the different genders, there's a whole long list. I would not take the time to go through that now, but there are now many, many, many different genders. If you go Google it, you'll find out. Now, this is a very interesting question. Have you ever been attracted to the same sex? That's a question directed to me. No, I have not been. Right? I have not. I am heterosexual and proudly so.
If I'm a girl and I am a virgin, please let's not use up the time. If I am a girl and I am a virgin and I decide to do it with a girl, would that make me not a virgin anymore?
Okay, that depends. That depends on what your definition of virginity is. Because if you consciously and deliberately make a decision to have a sexual encounter with someone of the same sex, there are two issues there. One is that that's wrong, and secondly, it depends on what you do and whether it. Okay, so if we take the definition of virginity as your hymen being broken, it depends on what you do. And your hymen can become broken in an interaction with another female. So yes, you would lose your virginity. Okay? But I think we should focus more on why would you want to have a sexual interaction with another female. That's not desirable.
Okay, so we've come to the end. Ethan, do you still have that question? Okay, you can ask it now, and then this would be the last. If you have any other question, you can always write it.
Miss, if a woman transgenders, right? And then she still likes men, is it gay?
Okay, so I'll tell you why I like that question. I like that question because it speaks to the confusion that exists in the society surrounding sexuality. Quiet, let me answer the last question. You're talking so much, I don't know if you heard the question. So if someone is a female transgender, I hope I didn't get the sexes mixed up, and is attracted to women, was that it? No. So female transgender meaning was a man, now a woman, attracted to men, does that make them gay?
No, miss.
No?
Woman.
What? Oh, okay, got it. Was a woman, now a man, still attracted to men? Right. Who you're attracted to is your orientation. Who you are biologically is your sex. People who engage in the surgery believe they can change their sex. We know they cannot. God made us a certain sex, and that's it for life, right? When you change your sex and you are now male, you can have either a homosexual attraction, meaning that you are now attracted to males, or a heterosexual attraction, meaning you are attracted to females. It depends on the person. But if you are now transgender female and you're attracted, well, I keep mixing it up, but you get what I'm saying, right? If you're now transgender male and you're attracted to a male, you're gay. Got me? But it speaks to the confusion in the society. And when you talk to people, it gets even more confusing. And God is not the author of confusion. All right? So I think this is a good point at which to end, to say that what is happening out there with sexuality is nothing more than confusion, and it brings emotional distress. It brings a lot of mental health problems, because even people who have tried to change their bodies, they have very, very high rates of depression and anxiety and suicide. And it's easy to avoid this simply by adhering to the biblical principles that we have for the expression of sex and sexuality. So I encourage you to think carefully and to make wise choices, and may God bless you.
Put your hands together for Dr. Sandra Reed. And I think she deserves a standing ovation. If you agree with me, let's stand and say thank you. If you agree with me that she has really helped us a lot, let's stand. Let's stand. And I'm inviting my two young friends from 1B to say thank you on your behalf to Dr. Reed.
Thank you, Dr. Reed, for the pertinent information given. We appreciate it.
And intend to use it to better ourselves.
To be more informed, and we look forward to having you again.
Thanks again on behalf of the students and staff of CUC Secondary.
Yes, let's give them and give Dr. Reed a loud round of applause. Thank you so much, Dr. Reed. We really appreciate it. Okay? And thank you, students, for your questions. We would have learned a lot. And at this time, we have a quick announcement, and then we go. Let's bow our heads to prayer so that when the announcement comes, we leave immediately after. The prefects will take up their positions first. So let's bow our heads, close our eyes. Senior students, we expect you to be a better example. Dear God, we thank you so much for what we would have learned today. Thank you for the clarity you brought, and bless our presenter, Dr. Reed. Bless each one of us and help us to have the information more clear in our heads so that we can make wise choice according to your instructions to honor you in all that we do. And may we be a support and blessing to others. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Good morning, everyone. So, I am proud to announce that the CUCFC will be relaunching tomorrow, please God. at 3 p.m. All right? The CUCFC will be having two coaches, Mr. George and Mr. Sargent, and they will be taking us to the next step, where this time we'll be having an under 14, an under 17 male team, as well as organizing, again, CUC's female football teams. All right? We will be taking part. We will be entering, qualifying, and participating in different leagues, tournaments, and playing for different cups. So come out, come one, come all. If you want to join, you'll be checking Mr. Young to sign your contracts and to make CUC one of the finest football schools this country has to offer. All right? So tomorrow, please God, we'll be relaunching at 3 p.m. Come with your gears, but come today to sign your contracts, organize, register, and be a part of CUCFC. Welcome, welcome one, welcome all to CUCFC, guys. Prefects, please take your places as we dismiss. And let's wait as we head back to school. Welcome to CUCFC, guys. See you tomorrow at 3 p.m.